Hi, welcome to that mystery show. I'm not sure what episode this is, but this episode is called Manly P. Hall on Magic. I want to say welcome for anybody just joining us, and welcome to anybody, and thank you for anybody watching or listening to the playback. So, tonight it's going to be extremely interesting. I want to go down the rabbit hole of Freemasonry. Um, I am going to have a couple guests with me. Right now, I have Talisman Dan. And I did unmute you, Dan, so you can say hi.
Hi, guys.
And we are waiting. And we have Lady Knight of Avalon who is listening. Welcome and thank you. Then probably in a few minutes, we will have Phil coming up, who is probably the most knowledgeable on this subject.
Yeah, by far.
Yeah, he's an amazing young man, and I actually met Phil through Daniel. So we're going to discuss Freemasons, kind of like history of the Freemasons, in which there's a lot of theories about who the Freemasons were before they became like an established unit, where they became the Freemasons. And I would like to touch on that. And then eventually I want to talk about, a well-known Mason, Manly P. Hall, and then get to his views on magic. I just recently read his book. It was called The Treatise, I believe, The Treatise on Esoteric Occultism or something like that. And that was a very short read, but it was recommended by Phil. So I thought, whoa, it kind of reminded me of what I had read from Eliphas Levi and John Greer, The High Doctrine of Magic. So that they have a lot of the same views. So what is it? I'm going to ask you, Daniel. Like, first, I'll give a brief history of what I know about the Freemasons, and then I'll ask you what you know about the Masons. Okay. So the Masons, or the Freemasons, or the Masonic Order, is a fraternal organization that its origins can be traced back to the medieval guilds of the stonemasons.
Yes.
And they were established at the Grand Lodge in London in 1717. So they can be traced back to the guilds of the stonemasons. Sorry, I'm reading my own handwriting.
Is that the hardest?
It is. Who built the great cathedrals and castles of medieval Europe. These guilds served as professional associations, providing training, standards, and protection for their members. The transition to speculative Freemasonry, over time, the guilds began to accept non-Masons, known as speculative members, who were interested in the moral and philosophical teachings associated with the craft. This transition from operative to speculative Freemasonry laid the foundation for the modern organization. So, what do you know about the Freemasons? Have you had any type of been associated with them at all, or just things that you've read?
More or less things that I've read. But what's funny is once your eyes have been opened, you're able to see a lot of those things around you.
Yeah.
So like that organization is really, really close to home. Like even with you obviously know Baby Girl's one of her specialists. He's a Freemason. You can see his ring right there. So I would say a little of both. Kind of seeing, like I I'm a man of, I see patterns and symbolisms and
Yeah.
things like that. So like I question, hey, what is that? So it led me to kind of to them. But as
Hmm.
I delved deeper, I learned about the Rosicrucians and
Yes.
then the Knights Templars, and even not too long ago, diving deep because when during my journey of life, I've managed to, kind of go back and forth things with spirituality and religion, and you know, the longer I live, I find out they're all connected. But with one side that I've managed to see is like the Eastern side. So one thing that
Hi,
I found
Julia.
out, like the Arabic, Indian, the Sufis, the pre-Islamic,
Hmm.
because like what we have learned is, during the medieval times, during the 12th century, was supposed to be like it's painted to be either like a Renaissance. But during, what one thing that's kind of been erased through history is the Arabic side of it, and
Hmm.
their traces go back to, the seventh, eighth, and ninth century, which is hundreds of years before, the
Absolutely.
the
Yes.
Western idea and the ideology of all that. In the ninth century, there was a group called the Ikhwan al-Hasafa, which are in translations are the brothers of purity. They were. It's kind of like how the Rosicrucians and the Knights Templars, they were given trials of of acts of valor and trust, and that's where when they would get a little bit of more knowledge and more knowledge, because they were entrusted to have these secrets and these things that were given to the universe from at the essentially from the creator of God.
Right.
And these are the things that connect all of us together. And
So I want to interrupt you, Rick, because in my research, I found that there's no actual proof. I had always thought that it was common knowledge that
yes,
we could trace these things back all the way back to the Essenes. And after talking to Phil today, he even has speculation that it's clear back to the line of Cain.
yeah, the
But
the sons of Seth.
yeah, but here's the thing: there's no proof of any of it. So I mean, it's all speculation. But yet, that's just what they tell us.
Yes,
I think
you
it's
know,
more than
I know.
speculation.
I know a lot of people don't know because we deal with each other, me and you, on a day-to-day basis. But you remember what Terrence McKenna says? Nobody really has a clue.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You're
You know,
right. You're right.
all we know is what we see. It's all up for interpretation. And I feel like with groups like these, they were given something that wasn't given to us to the naked eye, or or,
Right.
or
Yes.
there was
Yes.
something. It had to be passed down, because if you're a logic, if you call yourself a thinker, you
Hmm.
got to think. Think your thinkest of thoughts.
Well, that's exactly why I think we're here. We're here because we're truth seekers.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. It's like, everybody asks what qualifies you to speak on anything.
I'm a
It's
human.
just a truth seeker.
Yeah, I'm a human. I have my
I
own
read a lot.
experience.
So I had an actual experience. Maria says, yeah, a lot of documentation is missing. Absolutely. So I had an experience, and this was when I was married to Michaela's dad. She was like 3 years old, um, 3 or 4, actually. Um, we were visited by a man from the church, but it was the temple.
Yeah.
He came and he was trying to recruit Ed, and he left, some materials for Ed to read,
Were
and
these like Latter
Ed
Day
did it.
Saints?
Oh no, they were Masons.
Oh, the
The
Masons.
la-
Okay.
yeah, the Latter Day Saints were Mormon, but no, these were Freemasons, and they had a big book, this big gray textbook that they left with Ed to read, and of course he gave it to me, and I read it, and I didn't know anything about the Masons. I knew that there was a temple not far from us, actually in Osceola. Michaela would remember that they weren't active. They were hardly
Yeah.
ever there. Um, but yeah, I read through it, and they said that they wanted 10% of Ed's earnings. They were
Yeah.
strict, and everything. It was like they were
I
going
you know, I
to
feel like
watch
that's where
everything that we
Manly
did.
P. Hall. I feel like that's where Manly P. Hall felt like that's where it went to the wrong direction. Once you got to start putting in like um a tab, you know,
Yes. Yeah.
once you got to put in
Absolutely.
a tab, I believe there should be a trial because it, if you know anything about spirituality and rising through your kundalini or if whatever universal words that is, your chakras, your the Jacob's
Hmm.
ladder, what that is, it's not for everybody. It could put you in a downward spiral. If you're
That's
not doing it
yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and that's
Well,
where like these
Manly
groups
P.
are kind of
Hall,
like taught. You
he
say what?
died a Mason. So Manly P. Hall died as a Mason. He was a
Yes.
33-degree Mason, and the most of the material that he wrote was before he became a Mason. So, like that book that you and I just read, The Secret
Hmm.
Teachings for All Ages, he wrote that in 1920 something, I think, and he became a
Yes.
Mason in 1950 something. So, I mean, and I
Yeah, yeah,
think,
that's a good point. Yeah, I didn't yeah, I didn't notice the timeline in that.
which I
Wow.
find
So
that
he had plenty
extremely
of time to
interesting.
consider and
Yeah. Yeah. See, I'm how my brain works. It's a little bit like I always wonder, there's a
it's like a vine.
conspiracy.
It's like a vine, like you got the idea and then we branch off. It's hard, it's like once you get an idea or a thought, it just sparks
Yeah, I
a
analyze
snowball.
everything. So
Yeah.
yeah. So I wondered if, with like there's a lot of conspiracy or misguided ideas of who the Masons are. I've been one of those people that thought, okay, if the Masons are running our country, then why is our country like this? You know what I mean?
Right.
It's like, and why is every president a Mason, or you know what I mean? Except for
Yeah.
ones that weren't, or the ones that were, uh, to my knowledge, were the ones that were assassinated. So my mind is like thinking, what is up with these free, you know?
Well, here's the thing. There's many factions. Like George Bush was part of the Skull and Bones Society. Like these are
Right.
all, like yeah, they're kind of like Masons, but like think of it as like I can't help but think of going to the like Islamic. You got the Shiites and the Sufis and all that. Like they're put into a faction in a category.
Right.
It's same thing with what with like a Christian or any type of religion, any tribe, I should say, not religion but tribe.
Yeah.
Anytime you get a group of people together, for some reason, there's always a disbandment of ideology and beliefs,
Absolutely. That's because
and
not
that comes
everybody
with
thinks alike.
duality. That
Mhm.
comes with duality, and that is always going to come. You can't escape it.
Right. The point I'm
Just like
trying to make is that my ideas of Freemasons was just severely misguided until I
oh yeah,
actually started reading material from people like Manly P. Hall.
yes.
It's like if he can become a Mason, I'm telling you, because I love this man. I feel like he was,
He was
on a
a real
soul
teacher.
level. It was just, yeah, absolutely. He was amazing, and the things that he contributed to, to us is invaluable, if you know what I mean. It's like you can't put a
Hmm.
price on that knowledge. It was just,
And
so
and throughout how would you say, decades of information and knowledge that he seeked, it comes. You can't help but put it is all connected. That's the thing. Like, and that's kind of like what he was, like. Oh man, it's hard to. I'm getting so excited because he's such a good dude, man.
yeah.
It's so hard to kind of put in words. If you have, we've been only doing that. We've been, preparing this for a week and a half, but to actually really truly get the meaning and seeing what's really going on, it's a lifetime of study.
So yeah, let's get back to who the Masons are, where they originated from, what our
Hmm.
ideas are, the speculation. Maria says the founder of the Mormon Church is said to come from a Masonic family, and even their temple rituals are with secret handshakes and rituals only for members. Absolutely, because that makes sense to me. I mean,
Yes.
I had an uncle, have an uncle. He's actually still with us. I just don't I haven't talked to him in years. He was a priest or an elder in the Mormon church, and I remember him telling me that there are times that they're not active, you know. It's I mean, even the kingdom halls, like with the Jehovah's Witnesses, they have lots of rituals and secret things that they do,
Yeah.
that you're only privy to if you're a
Symbolism and
member.
all that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I mean, I feel like, masonry is so much more than we know. So like going back, I found today that, on June 24th, 1717, four London lodges came together at the Goose and Graderian Tavern to form the first Grand Lodge of England. It was the event that marked the beginning of the first organized Freemason group as we know it today. So that was London. And
Mm.
I was always thinking it's an American thing, So
Right,
I mean,
right.
I'm telling this, it's all over the world.
That's
Um,
where the Rosicrucians come in, because the Rosicrucians are before the Masonries, and
right, but
they.
that's not. Yeah, see, that's another one of those speculative theories. What happened was uh Masonry came before, but doesn't mean that Rosicrucianism wasn't
Right.
happening.
Who
It's
knows?
just that they became like people from that order
Yeah,
joined up with the Masons. So it's like they were influenced by each other. So,
yeah,
this is what's happening. The Knights of the Templar, it's said that there were during the time where they were running, they needed sanctuary. So they like joined up with the Freemasons as like a protection. And so of course then their knowledge became part of the Freemasons. So
hmm,
and then before that it was like secret mystery schools, and the
yeah.
secret
They were,
mystery
yeah, the
schools
mystery
are,
school.
yeah, like then that's where they're getting their knowledge from, the secret mystery schools from Egypt and Greece. And then I think of the Essenes. The Essenes were responsible for some of the first secret mystery schools. So I'm like, you can trace it clear back to there. And then Phil shared the stuff about
Pan.
Tulsa. Yeah, it had to do with Cain. It was Lamech's son. And so like
Yeah,
that whole line of Cain, they became the first sect of this. It's, I mean, it's
yeah. They were
amazing.
they're it goes both ways on things, because it's also said that, like, they were given tools of just how to get in tune with the creative energies of the earth. You know what I'm saying? Outside of, I don't know, but of whatever, I don't know. I feel like with all these knowledges and of ancient times coming together, like it all kind of pinpoints to maybe one area, and that's just not manipulating, but using the things around you to like
Well, if they're
manipulate the
keeping
world around you. Like
their
magic.
their idea was to, take that knowledge and kind of keep it, so that it doesn't get lost. They're
Yeah.
like keepers of the sacred knowledge, the secret knowledge. And yes, absolutely, that includes magic. And Helen Blavatsky, she is the, like, that's where you hear the word theosophy. That's
Theosophy.
kind of that's kind of what you're talking about. Like everything is connected. Rosicrucianism believes in God. So I mean, it's a blending of all these esoteric things. And then, this it's powerful. Knowledge is power.
Mm-hmm.
So
It is.
it
That is true.
attracts
That that's one of the oldest sayings they say is knowledge is power. And now
yeah,
imagine
yeah,
if you say it the other way: lack of knowledge is lack of power.
yeah.
Do you know, like, um,
But that's why it attracts politicians,
yes.
people that hold power, because knowledge is power. So of course it's the leaders of our world that are going to be Freemasons, or they're going to be, attached to this whole movement, this whole order.
Mm-hmm.
And
And I believe that's just collective minds of, like how you said, truth seekers coming together in a group and using
uh,
ways of like ritual, ritual ways, symbolism, numerology, the mixing of chemicals, astrology, to just kind of create to get in alignment with the best you. Because
yeah,
I believe the idea of all this is to get into harmony. That's like really what Manly P. Hall wanted for everybody, is to get into harmony.
yeah, yep.
Once we drop these walls of what's what and what's evil, what is good or bad.
It's perception.
Mm-hmm.
So Freemasonry exists in various forms and jurisdictions worldwide. It continues to promote moral and ethical values, brotherhood, and personal development among its members. So when I first, found out who they were, I'm like, who the heck? You got to be a man to join.
Right.
So I'm very I can't wait for Phil to get here, because I asked him about that. And we know that Helen Blavatsky was a Freemason, but
Powerful one too.
yeah, absolutely. I mean,
And if you believe in they believe in symbolism, so there's a lot of hierarchy with the woman. So who know? Maybe they got a lot more play into what we really think they do.
yeah, I feel like what I'm getting at is there, for the longest time I thought, okay, it's feeding into the whole patriarchal type system of the world. I mean, probably not every corner of the world, but definitely in America it has been. So now we're seeing a surge of the um divine feminine is actually creeping back in. So we're trying to find that balance.
Hmm.
But I found out from Phil that there's an actual, like, sect, an actual and I forget what it's called. that is caters to women. So I mean, and it shares all that same knowledge.
Yes.
So I am curious on why it has to be separate. That's the one thing that I don't understand. And I thought 33, like degrees of masonry was the highest, but it's
It
not.
goes on beyond that.
Yeah. So I guess because I'm not sure what's going on with Phil, but one of the things that I do want to like I want to get into Manly P. Hall's take on magic. Um and the reason that I find it extremely important is because like in the field that I'm in, and that's regardless of watching my grandbabies. Oh, here he is. Oh, yes, yes. Okay. Let me add Phil.
Swellswick.
Hi,
What up?
Phil. How are you
Hey.
doing?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Can you hear us okay?
Yeah. Hang on. I'll be on there in a minute. Are you guys on the camera or no or what?
No, we're not using the camera. Nope, just
Okay, cool.
our lovely voices.
Lovely voices.
Cool.
So Julia says she thought it was called the Order of the Eastern Star for women. So we're actually at the point where I was asking about the sect of Freemasonry for women.
Yeah, that's it.
All right. Thank you, Julia. Yes. Okay. So anyway, before we get back into this, I want to backtrack a little bit. Phil, can you tell me your story about your connection to the Freemasons and what actually like drove you into being the truth seeker that you are?
Um, I just I started studying into the Masons basically through like occult teachings and Manly P. Hall, his book, Secret Teachings of All Ages. That's what got me started with it, and then just learning a lot about it and what it was because I was deep into a lot of anti-Mason like propaganda, you know.
Yeah.
Keep wanting to hear the other side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and I started to look into it. I seen it wasn't really. I mean, it's actually pretty. It's pretty good philosophy. I mean, it's
Yeah.
just about making yourself better. It's really not as deep, you know, as a. That's what draws people into it. I think that's kind of like the multimedia aspect of it. I would say
Yeah.
it's like multi-level marketing. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
get in here, pay your dues. It draws you in. You're gonna learn some type of secret. There's secrets in there. You know what I mean? But I feel like you don't have to join an order.
Absolutely. And I love what you said that you were looking for the other side of it first. I feel like somebody that is actually truth seeking will look at both sides deliberately.
Yes.
Yeah.
That I am very happy to hear that, my friend, because I feel like that's how we find the truth. So so you thought about becoming a Freemason?
Uh, for a minute, yeah, I did. Just because I was, wanting to see what it was about. Wanting to see. I got looking into the history of it,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
like I had to put it all out of my mind when I was learning about Freemasonry. All the other stuff I learned, I had to put that to the side and see what it really was. And so I felt like the best way to do that was to join it.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
It's like you had to look at it at an unbiased opinion.
yeah, and go in
And
and
that,
see what it
that's
was
one of the
about.
hardest things to do is we grow up and being seen and taught so many different things. So like when something like that comes our way, you either like it's hard not to reject it because it makes you think uncomfortably and out of your aspect in your zone.
Yeah,
Like
like
it's like
yeah,
it's like you never been the same since.
yeah.
All right.
I got a buddy who's a Mason, man, and I mean, like to him, it's just it's not what you think it's not what you think it is. You know, it's a lot of Masons don't even know anything about occult anything. You know, they just want to be a part of something.
I
No,
You know,
understand that. I understand that, and in fact, I think that's why Manly P. Hall.
I was just about to say that.
yeah,
It's like he was striving to better mankind. You know, his knowledge that he wanted to share was for the betterment of mankind as a whole.
yeah,
And you know, he wanted to guide us. I want to see what Julia says real quick. She says it's very much of a business network in the UK. They promote themselves as doing a lot of
Doing
charity work.
charity. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
actually read that too.
yeah,
My question that I wanted to ask you, Phil, is you were sharing some stuff with me earlier today about you know, like how far back this goes. Like we had talked about before you came on, like the first actual meeting was in 1717. But I mean, Freemasons, even though they weren't named that, they come from a long line, clear back
yeah,
to possibly the days of Cain.
yeah. Well, that's what I think it is. I mean, if you do the math on everything, like I was thinking about this earlier. You know, like there's two sides. You know, there's always been two sides, and like this, it's that's the duality of it all. Like, and there's one side that the Abrahamic religions, they fall under that. You put them on one side, and then you put the pagans over here on the other side. It's the
Okay.
it's pretty. It's all the same thing. The Abrahamic religions are paganistic too. They're just
Yes.
I mean, they're all. It's like old order, new order type deal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Like Christianity was a new world order. You know, in itself
Absolutely.
when it was birthed. You know,
Yep.
and so I think
And so
paganism
was,
is
and so
making
was
its way back
Islam in
around.
the Indian area, in the Indian era, because I've been actually seeing a lot of Guru Nanak, and he kind of came up and was like, there is no, there is no Islam, there is no Christian, there is no none of this. There is just man and his symbols and the universe around us and the unity and whatever divine
Yeah,
energy or spirit has given us this knowledge. We need to use it to come together because
yeah,
it's all the same language.
So
yeah,
Manly P. Hall, like, everything that he stood for, he was influenced by Helen Blavatsky, and she created what we know as theosophy. And actually, Carl Jung was extremely influenced by Manly P. Hall. So here, these are the great teachers. And when
Yes.
you think about their message is of spiritual enlightenment. It's of spiritual alchemy. It's becoming better by using our own divinity. It's believing that
yeah,
we're all connected, and it is believing in that higher power.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So he wrote a book about magic. What was it called? I'm trying to remember again. The esoteric
The
cultism.
the treatise on
Yes.
natural occultism.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, and that book, I remember when I first read it, I thought, wow, he's extremely strict. But he's strict on magic because magic is powerful. And if you think
Yeah.
about us as being divine beings, and
You
again,
can't be laissez-faire on that.
yeah. So I think it's that. But you also got to look at it like he was an occultist too, man. I mean,
yeah,
what he was like, he was an occultist. He's not. I mean, gonna always speak to you in plain, clear terms for you to get either. Like I mean, it's kind of a spook factor to me. I think that magic is broke down into, like, I break magic down into just, this is magic. Talking, I mean, the language,
Yes.
Yeah.
is magic.
Tattoos, that's a blood magic.
Well, like, that's why Buddhists, they take vows of silence and shit, dude. I'm sorry, excuse my language, man.
You're
They take they take
That's
vows
true,
of
they do.
silence. Like, I
Some
feel like,
some Indians chop off their member to completely get rid of their sexual desires.
yeah,
That's magic.
well,
That's a form of magic.
right.
like, I just think that, like, if I'm manipulating somebody's belief system, what I say is, white magic or black magic. If I
Yeah.
say something to degrade somebody their whole life, and they grow up believing that, and accepting that, that's going to affect them
Spelling.
in some type of way.
Yep. Words
You
are
know,
spelling. There are intentions behind them. It is absolutely magic. You are correct. And that is why I feel like, okay, so this is my theory. I with the Masons having all of this, a collection, okay, because as they grew, they had all different forms of beliefs like join them, so they were adopting each other's views, so they're not narrow-minded, but they're still,
It's like monotheism.
kind of, yeah. So it's like they have these views, and it's becoming nice and rounded, taking everybody's knowledge and making it their own, turning it into this something that we know today as Freemasonry. But it is about inner transformation and self-realization. So, personal growth, spiritual development, becoming aligned, so that, like Daniel was talking earlier, getting our chakras in alignment and becoming, helping the kundalini to rise. It is all about a spiritual enlightenment process. So magic is a part of that. So if you're, I even read it in Eliphas Levi. His theology is that, once this knowledge is public knowledge, okay, so everybody has this knowledge. Knowledge is power. So if you have the ability to use this knowledge, then it's good to also know the aspect of what happens when it's abused.
Yeah.
So it's like the knowledge doesn't, like, not learning it so that you can use it. You're learning it so that you are aware of what can happen if you're using it in a negative way.
Oh yeah.
Because
I think that,
keep going.
Yeah,
Go,
go
Phil.
ahead.
Go ahead, Phil.
I was just gonna say, I think that everybody plays a role in it. Everybody is technically like a magician. You know what I'm saying? It's just
Yes.
whether you're conscious of what you're doing or not, conscious or
Mm-hmm. I think that Manly P. Hall felt it was kind of like the mission then to let people, to enlighten, to say, I'm not giving you all the information that I've given you over the years.
Yeah.
Or, I'm also letting you know that there's a darker aspect to this, and to beware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's linked with, Saturn in that book. It's linked with, it's what he says right in the beginning. They are basically they draw upon the dark force. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The hierarchies of the ancients.
Yeah. And I think that Manly P. Hall was basically, if you don't have no business, it's just saying, what his warning to people was basically, it's not for the faint of heart. You know what I mean? It's not just to be out here messing around with. You know what I'm saying? I think
And I feel like that's why it's kind of like frowned upon. Like magic has been frowned upon many factors. You know, if you want to speak on religions and stuff like that, just about every religion that you look at, magic is frowned upon. And they don't really, I don't believe they really know the deep down look at it, you know, because in the old Eastern esoterics from back in the pre-Muslim, you know, golden age of the era of philosophy, science, and learning, it would be in an order of science, religion, and magic. Science being the logic of the body, religion being the spirit, and the magic being of the realm.
Yeah.
You know, so it's like.
I like that. Yeah.
So I feel like with that being said, you got to like you got to walk on eggshells. You know, everybody is not worthy of it. You know, how many movies have we watched where, you know, the person comes in and gets a hold of a certain power and uses it for evil? That's the story of mankind.
With the religion, with those in religion, when they are looking down upon those doing magic, though, the higher ups of those religions, you know, the people at the top of those organizations, those religious organizations, they know what's going on.
Yes.
They know the occult, dude. They know it's all derived from the occult. If you don't know the occult, you don't really know what that Bible is saying, dude.
Right. Or like, the Quran or anything that you're reading.
I mean, yeah, if you don't look into other cultures, you won't see the similarities. You won't see anything. But I mean, the Bible is an eclectic book, man.
It's a mystery book.
Yeah, so I have a theory. My theory is that, okay, because you know, as a child we believe in magic. So, you know, and even, you know, Blavatsky's theory of theosophy. You know, the fact that we're all connected, it's a cycle of you know, reincarnation, karma, all of it. So when we come into the world, you know, we're as close to the spirit as we'll ever be. You know, that's the spirit. And the spirit, you know, without getting into any type of a religious view, like my own belief is that it forgets everything to incarnate, to relearn or learn something new, you know. I believe that. So magic for me, because, you know, the field that I'm in, I deal with divination, not deal with it. I practice divination. I love divination, but I know that my intentions have to be pure. And in order for my intentions to be pure, I have to self-reflect all the time. So I am not willing to use magic outside of myself unless you know, it's unintentional. But that's my business is to dive into my own magic. I'm not going to worry about someone else's, because I am affected by my own, and anything that I put out, I know it's going to come back to me. So I am constantly mindful, because that is how powerful magic is. And I do believe that that was Manly P. Hall's message.
Speak about magic.
Say that again?
You there?
You broke. Yeah, you broke up.
Would you say he's speaking about ritual magic, or in general, or like?
My theory.
Look, I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, you're breaking up.
You're breaking up, Phil.
Yeah, you're breaking up, Phil. I think that he's kind of leery of occult magic being used, just because, like, I think he believes that people need to be very careful. They need to be knowledgeable, because of the power in it, how much power it holds. I believe that he is warning people to be extremely informed before they use it, because magic is why we're here. Magic is like Star Wars. Okay, the Force is going to be used for good, or it's going to be used.
And what's crazy is the word like how we use the word magic isn't really even comprehensible. So like using this word is such an undercut to what it really is.
That's what I
Yeah.
would say. Like, I'm talking ritual magic, you know.
Phil, your connection is really bad, dear. We're having a hard time understanding you.
I don't know. I feel like you can that tool was there given to you,
Uh-huh.
but like kind of how like maybe what you were saying, maybe I heard it wrong, but
Mhm.
you don't necessarily need that.
And well,
What?
here's the thing. Everything. Oh, here we go. Let me this he let me re-add. Let me remove that one. And there, are you there, Phil?
Yeah. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
that is, yes, that is so much better.
You know, because what about like some of those in regions that like those aboriginal people that don't know anything about that, they're just all about nature, you know, and
Yeah,
Well, that's where
intentions
magic
all
started,
around.
is nature. I
nature.
mean,
Yeah, yeah, you're right.
that I think that's what they were in the beginning. That's what the Canaanites were. That's what you know what I mean?
Mhm.
They were they were big into nature. You know what I mean? Way
Yeah,
more connected to
the
it than
spirit
we
of
are
the
today.
ancestors and out here and just feeling it's like super sensitive to the world around you.
Right,
I was
right.
saying,
Now,
like, as far as magic, like I was trying to say something earlier before I cut out. Like, ritual magic, like as far as the Hermetic Order, the Golden Dawn, or any type of them type of orders. That type of magic will work because of belief. I think you know what I mean.
yes,
Like,
yes.
so it's the belief that makes it strong. So the people who
The
do those
manifestation of it.
rituals, they believe that it's going to produce some type of effect, and then it does. You know
Yeah,
what I
and
mean?
that's
Because
the magic of it is the manifestation of
so,
thought and
so
belief, you know.
it's like an outlet. Like, there's many outlets. As far as magic goes, you can't put it in a box like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Magic is the like uh there's all these other things that are a result of magic or can is like a sect of magic, but magic is like the beginning. So,
Yeah.
even witchcraft is a
Yeah.
form of magic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Magic
numerology is a
is
form of
like
magic.
it's the
Yeah.
blanket term. Yeah, actually, yeah, our
Geometry is a form of
communication.
magic.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. So I feel like that's kind of why I am very drawn to Manly P. Hall. I'm drawn to the esoteric beginnings of it because I want to understand magic. It's the baseline of everything. So I am, because when I the reason I wanted to do this podcast is, I feel like for myself it's important, and that to me this is where it begins. I don't want to practice anything that is a derivative of it until I'm fully immersed in my own magic and am able to wield my own magic. And that
Right.
to me comes from my own self evolvement. You know what I mean? Like becoming
Yeah.
self-aware and not projecting negativity onto anyone else. So that is the reason I am drawn to this type of information.
Hmm.
Not everyone is going to be drawn to his views on magic, but he has one
Mhm.
view. I respect it, and I hope that other people do, but I cannot say you need to do this. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's everybody kind of had everyone is going to have their own view on it, but that's this is why I had you on here. I know that you are extremely knowledgeable in a lot of
One
um
of the biggest things I got from that book, Natural Occultism, the treatise or whatever.
yeah.
The biggest thing I got from it was, so he described, Satan and the polarity of Satan and Lucifer, right?
Okay.
And so Lucifer is the heat, the desire, the passion, and then Satan would be, the coldness, crystallization and everything like that. And then, Christ was what was in the center of that. You know what I mean?
Right.
And so basically, his views on it to me is to be Christ centered in all things. I think he was pretty well a middle path guy. I think
Yes.
Yeah.
there's no way that he would have delved so deep into some of the stuff that I mean in that secret book, man. It goes in. You can learn how to freaking sign your soul away to the devil in that book, man. I mean, it's
That
written how
is
to do
true. That is true. I'm holding it right in my hand.
it.
Yeah, there's
Like
also a part in this secret
if you believe in that aspect of it, like he delved into so many different areas of knowledge, and he never really subscribed to any of it. He just provided a lot of the information,
right.
for
Yeah.
it to be out there. But in order for him to do that, you have to be pretty well middle path, man. Somebody who's only looking at it from one angle is not going to
Yeah, you're right.
explore all those other perspectives,
I agree with that. I agree with
Yeah.
that. And that's why I fangirl over Manly P. Hall.
Yeah.
You know,
You really do.
I know.
Yeah.
I listen to lectures and yeah, I have
It's
some other
funny
books
that
to
there's
go.
like a handful of people. Like once you start exploring him, you'll get Carl Jung and
Oh yeah.
See, I started with Carl Jung.
Alan Watts and all those. It just goes deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
And it's funny because it's like once it's like a virus. Once you catch it, if you catch it, you catch it.
I think
Yeah.
that
And
mainly
then you
P.
give it off
Holo,
to somebody
as an
else.
answer to your question, like I would say, I think that he was pretty well influenced, by Christian, and most of the
Yeah.
Masons back then were influenced by some form of Christianity, or I mean one of the big three. Like they're any of those big threes, they all align with the tenets and principles of Masonry. I mean,
Yeah.
at the end of the day, like
And you got to chalk numerology up to that. 3, the Trinity, how things works in threes.
so, like if so, say we were in the beginning, we were hunter gatherers, like Adam and Eve, we're hunters and gatherers. Everything was given to them, and then they got the knowledge of agriculture and how to grow their own food, right? So then they're cursed, right? Now you got to start from the brow, and you have to make your own, right? And so so fertility gods, that's what's worshipped back in those days. There were a lot of fertility gods. It was all about the growing of crops. God yield to get the crops to yield. All types of prayers and rituals that went on for that purpose alone. The building of civilizations. That's what Freemasonry is. Like that's
The cornerstones.
yeah. Shaping the perfect civilization, and that's why I say it comes from the line of Cain. I mean, I think that even if it doesn't necessarily come from the line of Cain, like it draws a lot of its influence from that line of descendants. And it's very much an Abrahamic thing. Freemasonry.
We could get into like Gnostic stuff too, like maybe in a
Yeah, but that's all based off of the Abrahamic. That's just the reverse of the Abrahamic faith. That's the Abrahamic God becoming the devil. But it's still it's just a flip. Like I'm talking about, like it's a Western. It's what it all stems from Judaism.
Yep.
Judaism started it. None of them are really, all their roots are in the same.
Well, the reason I said that is because you're talking about Cain, and Cain was cursed, but yet look at what came from Cain's line. And then also we have, like like the serpent in the garden. The serpent in the garden is knowledge, and but yet
Yeah.
the serpent is given a bad name. But in a Gnostic sense, the serpent is Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
that's
I
what
mean,
I'm saying.
religion in itself,
That's
religion,
who Jesus was to me. I mean, that's who he was. Like, it's
yes.
just like people don't even understand what Christian. A
Hi.
lot of Christians don't
So
understand
it's religion. It's not the beliefs
who
that
he
we
was.
hold. It's religion that controls the knowledge, and they control it so that you're only given so much, a
Yeah.
trickle of information, and it's misinformation at that. So I mean, I have to respect a man like Manly P. Hall that is willing to give it to you all. He's
Yeah.
willing to give it all to you, and then you decide what to do with it. He definitely has an opinion, and it is conveyed, and I respect his opinion because of the knowledge that he withholds. You know what I mean? And or he withheld. So I feel, I resonate with that because my journey is more about personal magic, and personal magic is definitely is alchemical to me. It's my own spirit. It's remembering who I am, and then you know um practicing from that. So I think that we are almost at the hour, and I would love to maybe go down another rabbit hole. you know um the one of the things that we were talking about, Phil, before you came on, was you were telling me all the way back to Cain. And I know that there are theories that the Freemasons came from the Knights of the Templar, you know.
Yeah.
And then obviously we can associate Rosicrucianism with the Masons, and then the ancient mystery schools. So I mean, there's
Let's
so
not
much.
forget. Let's not forget the in the Arabs the Elohim the Kayafa.
Mm.
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Those
I
were
mean,
Mhm.
those were the, like I said earlier, those were the brothers of purity.
Yeah.
wow.
That they were brother. They were, and that comes kind of like right around Cain and Ishmael and Isaac and all them.
Yeah.
I
So
would I would like to have maybe if you're interested, maybe we could talk again about who were the Freemasons before, because I feel like that is gonna lead us into how important is this knowledge. You know what I mean?
mhm.
Yeah. I think that they're like eclectic. Yeah, I think that they're really connected to the Rosicrucians. They are connected to the Knights Templar as far as even if anything, they tried to keep that going
Yeah.
after after it was done and over with. So, there was a bunch of argument that said, about whether or not they were involved with the Templars at all, or whether the Templars, hid themselves within the Freemasonic organization.
Yeah, it's all speculation.
I think that what they stood for, it was one of them those crusader groups, man,
Yeah.
that were connected to orders,
Yep.
always
Uh-huh.
connected to secret orders. And
Yep.
so I'm sure that when the Masons started, there were a group of people who were probably part of other esoteric orders that had either died out or whatever. The
Yeah. Oh, I
orders have been
got it.
going on forever.
I got it, because that, since that is speculatory, I mean, we don't really know. So it's kind of, we can only, that's all we can do is assume, I mean,
Mhm.
we can assume based upon things that we've read and looked into, but we're not going to find proof anywhere.
Yeah, there's really no
Right.
originator from any of it.
Right.
So why
There's
don't
not
we
any
do,
named originator, I should say.
why don't
Yeah.
we, since I'm such a fan of Manly P. Hall, why don't we do the next one on his life? I have
Yeah.
yet to find a movie about his life. Why don't we have the next podcast about Manly P. Hall's life?
We could.
Because, you know, I mean, there's a lot of conspiracy around his quote unquote death, because I feel like he was murdered. But I mean, that's how my mind works, you know.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, I really appreciate both of you being here with me. It was extremely enlightening, and I'm looking forward to doing it again. So I will get with you.
You know, I'm really looking forward for the next one too. This is my first time ever doing this, so I slightly feel a little disorganized from excitement.
Yeah. I hear that.
It's absolutely normal. It'll get easier. That's why I'm you know, breaking you fellas in. And
Yeah.
who knows, maybe you might want to do something like this on your own. You know,
Right.
there's all sorts of stuff that you can talk about.
You know, it's funny. As long as me and Phil have known each other, we've always talked about, like, it's funny because, like, when you asked us earlier, I know I told you personally when you asked me what got me on this journey, it's honestly a hip hop group that opened the door for me. You know, it was Phil. You know, the Underachievers. I feel like that opened
Yeah.
the door for a lot of us.
Yeah, tell the listeners how old you both are.
30. Well, 31.
31.
31.
I'm 31.
Yeah, I think it's awesome that your generation is so interested in learning this type of knowledge.
Yeah.
I can guarantee that I was
It's also very tough too because you can feel the disconnection with others.
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
I keep thinking there's supposed to be a spiritual awakening, but I think the spiritual awakening is when people stop judging each other.
Yeah.
When I can feel that, you know, because we're gonna feel that when people stop pointing the finger at each other.
Yeah.
Then I'll
Who's
believe
the
that
bad
we have the
guy?
spiritual
You got to
awakening.
get over that.
Absolutely.
You got to get over
I don't
that.
feel that yet.
Yeah. Oh, that's what they're banking on, is they keep us down that way. They keep us all against
Yeah.
each other, and then we'll never stand up to them.
I
So
do agree with that.
I think that's what's going on. I think that's what's going to keep going on for
You know,
a
that was
while.
kind of something that Daniel was alluding to. It's like you can have a very good idea and you can turn it into something strong, and then you start sharing that idea, but you get one bad apple or somebody that has bad intentions. They take that knowledge and they twist it, and it becomes something else.
Yeah.
Like you could have the best intentions, and this Freemasonry can have the best intentions, but with all the power that is associated with this knowledge, that you get a bad Freemason in there. What do you think?
You know, I also feel like what happens in a lot of this day and age is a lot of people take a bit of information and run with it and don't even look into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
You
needs
know,
to be
so they put it in all types of wrong instances and they just use it all wrong, you know.
Because it fits, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Right. There is what do they call that? An agenda,
Yeah,
a
the
narrative.
agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, we can go down Carly, you know me, and you can go down the agenda. Phil too. We can go down the agenda all day.
I know.
Oh,
I know.
There's many agendas.
That's why when Phil said, I looked at the other side of it first. I thought, my goodness, that's for me. I resonate with that, and you're my people. You're my people.
Oh, that was tough, man. It was tough, like getting over that Christian programming, and
It was so tough.
I thought I was going to hell. You know, every day I would wake up just feeling doomed to fucking hell and shit. You know what I mean? Because I couldn't even bring myself to believe it anymore or anything. My mom would be like, "You need to go to church." It's like, no, like no.
I feel there's so much more below, but beneath what they're saying.
Well, this, you know, let me tell you this, fellas. There is, you know, today the Super Bowl. Okay, the Super Bowl is happening, And
Yeah.
at halftime, Taylor
Oh, you
Swift
mean
is,
the big ritual?
yeah, okay.
Yeah.
See, I'm telling you that my opinion is that's crap because regardless of what people think, that is trying to make witchcraft look bad. And I'm sorry, no, there's nothing in this world that is bad. You said it, Daniel. It's
Yeah.
perception. It's all about intentions. So, but
Yeah.
yet I feel there is a narrative being pushed there, and I am pissed.
I mean,
Well,
I
it
feel
does
like
make
we
a
know the
bad name
basis of
on magic
bad.
in general.
I feel like we know the basis of bad. You know, don't steal, don't hurt. You know, don't hurt children. You know, don't do those things. You know, we all know the basis of whatever that is, if it's bad or whatever word that is, the
Yeah.
anti spirit. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Yeah.
I'm feeling to call it. Those are all anti spirit things. You know, things
Yep.
that don't do you any good.
Just hope that people keep an open mind on that instead of what happened in the 1600s. Does anybody remember what happened in the 1600s?
That was
What's
the
that?
Renaissance age, wasn't it?
I'm talking about the witch
No, that wasn't the
trial.
Renaissance. That was like Britain. Hold on, let me look. A
Talking
lot of
about the
Rosicrucian
ignorance of the
texts
witch
got put out
trial.
in the 1600s.
Yeah, the witch hunt. Yeah. I mean,
In 1610, you have the Fama Free Fraternus, which
yeah.
is from the Rosicrucians.
Yeah.
A lot of stuff happened in the 1600s.
The witch trials is what I am
Yeah.
referring to.
Oh,
And that
yeah,
is,
that's
there's a
true.
narrative being pushed today. And social media is one of those powers.
That's the right
That's
side, dude.
magic,
It's like
too.
spiritual politics. It's like spiritual politics, man. It really is. It's like that's the right. That's the right damning, the left. And it's just they all do the same thing. I think that the one just
It's
doesn't
like
want
they
a group of people to
pointing
know
fingers on who's doing it
what their
better.
potential is.
My point is that the powers that be use social media to sway and divide. And
Yeah,
we have to continue to look at both sides of every story and find
yeah,
that middle path in everything. That is where the truth is. The truth is never right in front of your face. It's on the other side of it and in the middle somewhere.
yeah,
So
Yep.
take everything with a grain of salt that you see on TV, even what you hear tonight here. So, I mean,
yeah,
that's what I'm talking about. There's a narrative
yeah.
that gets pushed, and unfortunately, it's always comes back to magic. How
True.
unfortunate is that?
Yeah,
So,
well, that side's
yeah.
always going to be against magic because it scares them. They don't
Yes,
understand it.
but
So,
they use it.
well, they don't know that they're using it. They think this is all normal. I'm telling you, man. They don't know how it's right in front of their face. It's hidden right in front of their face the entire time. I mean, I'm telling you, you can watch Pocahontas, man. You can watch Pocahontas and you will find fucking magic, man. Seriously.
Yeah, I
If
agree
you
with
if
you. It's in everything. It absolutely is in everything. That's why I said, I forget who I was talking to. I know I was talking to Bob, but I told him, because he had asked me if I had heard about the stuff with Taylor Swift on the being on the Super Bowl halftime show and what was supposed to happen. And I told him, I said, this is all I got to say to that. I said, these people that look down on any type of quote unquote witchcraft, everything is about intentions. And people that talk bad about other people use their words to spell.
Right?
yeah,
And if they have bad intentions and time behind those words, they're using witchcraft.
right. Yeah, definitely. That's word magic. I mean, that's the
Yep.
word.
So, I mean, again, the spiritual awakening will happen when people stop pointing their fingers at each other.
Yeah,
And that's magic in itself.
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Well, I have enjoyed this conversation very, very much. So, all right. So, fellas, don't go anywhere because I'm going to end this stream. And again, I appreciate everybody that came here. And I appreciate the chat. And anybody listening to the replay. I appreciate you very, very much. And again, fellas, stay on the line, and we'll talk to you in the next podcast.
Yep, keep your ears open.
Yep, thanks. It's good to see you. Good talking to you guys.